the Tyranid-infested city of Port Olympia, you saw to your horror that they have built a tower of flesh from the survivors of the city, bound together by some biological goo and veins, in a desperate attempt to end what you assumed was their attempt to set up some kind of psionic signal to the outside world to attract more Tyranid. You decided to detonate and destroy the tower of humans. Setting one of your explosives in a missile launcher, you fired it into the midst of it. And it is up to you whether you've detonated it yet, but then you run underground to this biologically infested horror that exists under the city. It seems that the Tyranids, although they don't understand the ancient Eldari artifact, they feel attracted to it. There's something about it that attracts them, perhaps some kind of psychic presence. So they have enveloped it in their goo and guts. You push your way through, think like classic alien scenes. You pull these huge veins aside, and there's goo everywhere sticking to your suits. You're all covered in it, and you're entering what looks like an ancient technological site built by the Eldari. You can sometimes see crystals and old interfaces and symbols that whoever is trained among you will identify as Eldari. As you're about to descend, and I think Daniel, you're psychically sensitive, you can sense the presence of this warp manifestation directly below you. As you're standing here just waiting, you can hear the humming of the machines, and you feel that you're about, or you all know that you're probably about to reach what you've been looking for so long. And as you stand there in the corridor, Daniel, you can begin describing your character.
Daniel, being covered from head to toe in this environmental suit, his right leg's seen better days as it's been replaced with a makeshift cybernetic replacement. From his suit, whenever he wipes away whatever dust or spores or even humidity that would cover his visor, you could see his tired eyes through it, as well as his anemic face due to the severe blood loss he has suffered up until now. He sponsors a disheveled look. He thanks the Emperor that at least his rebreather is on, so the others cannot see the shameful presentation of his facial hair, which he prides himself with. His coat that used to be white over the environmental suit has now long becoming gray and even at some parts black. It sponsors bullet holes, tears, whatever regalia once hung from it has been either lost or just removed from the sheer impact he has suffered along his journey. In his hands rests a plasma gun who has been far too overworked, much like his user. Much of the filament protecting the release of the plasma bolt has melted off, and whatever gold would decore it has long since either been removed due to overuse or is now partially melted to its being constantly overheating. Yet he persists going forward with a determined look to see this mission through.
Say it better.
You'll see a Skitari with mechadendrites. He will just be right there with his flamer watching the walls, looking at all the disgusting biomass that's there. Not much of a face to be there. Just glowing optics, wires, plates covering his face. Some may even question, is he even human or is he just fully robot?
Nice. Rick. Olin.
As Rick is. Was that? Nothing. As Rick is standing there, towering over pretty much everybody in the party, except for maybe Aaron. As he's standing there, towering over, looking down the halls, looking around constantly, as his armor is stained with the blood of Siegfried and the Space Marine, both mixed together after the last encounter, which did not go so well. As he's looking around, weary-eyed, scratching his head from the last invasion that was in, as he just walks down the hall. That's it.
Awesome. Thane.
Thane stands as a somewhat thin but well-built character, wearing an armored body glove of black, and over his shoulders is a cloak that seems to seamlessly blend with the environment around you. And on his head, his face is covered by a full carapace helmet. But one that pays close attention will note that he has been staring closely at the back of Rick's head this entire time.
Awesome. The Franz.
Franz will be off to the side of the group. He'll obviously be dressed like a commissar, but as he takes off his helmet and the attached hat, even though you know that he is only just over 20 years of age, you can actually see something that you haven't seen before, and it's small flecks of grey now in his hair. You can see, if you look closely enough, a slight trembling in the left hand, which he is currently sitting flexing out. You can see that he has a hotshot lasgun on his back, a plasma pistol, well, what looks like a plasma pistol outline under his cloak, and a sword at his side. You can see that he has unease around the biological excretions of the Tyranids, and his purple eyes are fixed straight ahead with a look of determination on his face.
Awesome. And that's it. You guys take it away. Everything moves in real time. If you're not talking, time is still running. So think of it like a camera in the room. And whenever you guys are not talking, your characters are just literally standing, looking around at the walls. So go.
As Daniel is touching the walls when this strange alien structure and substance starts to stick to his hand as he pulls away this red mucous membrane like, he says, I do believe that this is Eldari architecture, similar to what they have on their craft walls, at least. I also detect a warp signature that's beneath us. Is quite intense, and I believe that is the thing we've been searching for all this time.
Hearing him say that, Thane will activate his auspex in his helmet to scan the area and kind of see if he sees any motion of any beings or creatures that might be about.
Franz, you look good. You ready for some action?
Always.
This is what all of those deaths were all about.
Wish I had gotten that later on, but I'll take it now.
Then Daniel checks in on all of you as the thing looks around. He will go from Franz to then Rick with a stride as he puts a hand on one of his arms and says, Rich, you all in there? I need you to be in top shape for this. I don't know what we're gonna face, either be it Eldari Tyranids or more Chaos Spawn.
Mix of both at this point.
Well, I like to keep this disappointing streak of you still being alive up. Tends to work out for me quite well.
At this point, I'm surprised I'm still alive. But if it keeps going, the Emperor wills it, or I am just really, really lucky, or unlucky, depending on your perspective. Whatever.
To each their own. He then looks behind him and says, Marksman, looking towards Dane. Anything on aspects?
I want to say yes, but I do not know.
Cooperative storytelling. Make it up.
Well, I just don't know if I actually see anything movement or if we're clear. I scan the area and looking about through the fleshy walls, it's making it difficult to discern what is just living wall or what could be a possible moving figure. I can't tell you for certain if there's one nearby yet. I'll keep you posted.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, no point in hanging around here. Let's get it done.
Right. We just need to find a way down. As on the prize, people, and those being pointmen, head on a swivel.
Fantastic. Everybody gets an inspiration point. Great RP. You'll be continuing down the hallway, occasionally touching these gooey walls that you have to push these blobs, almost looks like these cysts that have grown into the viscous, flesh-like material that has enveloped this old Eldari station. As you move through the tunnels, you start to hear talking.
Before we progress any further, does anyone else have any more of those detonators that we can set here now?
My demolition kit still possesses 2 more charges, although it's not something that you can just throw. You gotta set it up. It's a cable and a whole mechanism.
I'm just wondering if we go up there, whoever we're going to deal with, if anything comes in behind us, I'd like to be able to close off this exit at the last second. Can we set one now and be prepared to detonate in case anything comes up behind us?
I don't know about you, Marksman, but from what I'm aware, this is also our only exit.
Shit.
I know.
Well, at this rate then, let's try and move quietly while we go ahead. I want to
Hush.
see who's talking.
Hold up. Indeed, you're right. I do hear some whispers up ahead.
Problem is, the second we go loud, those things are going to come racing in here like no tomorrow.
That's my concern.
Very simple. You get it done fast, quick, and we should be quiet because I hear some voices.
Let's see, whoever is so chatty is also in a talkative mode with us. Keep low to the ground and move close. I want to hear what they're talking about.
As you pull out your Vox device and listen in, you can hear the Inquisitor who has rushed ahead of you. He's already in the room, and you can hear his pearly voice in there, talking to someone. Testing.
Testing. 1, 2,
I'll
3.
quietly move forward
1,
and try and
2,
stay out of
3.
sight.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Thane, sorry, Marksman, I need you to get in the room, get in a high place or somewhere with line of sight. Provide overwatch
That's
in case we
right.
need it.
Understood.
Franz, Rich, want you with me. Zeta Beta, you'll be our wild card.
Whew.
Play it by ear.
Worth.
Awesome. As soon as you sneak
So-
in and try to get an overview of the situation, no one seems to pay you any notice. You see the Inquisitor standing there, in front of his former apprentice, and now somewhat of a rival, the Inquisitor Carius Road. He's standing in front of him, and he has his hands stretched out as he's pointing to the ground occasionally, trying to appease the Inquisitor, Caster Typh, who seems quite agitated.
I will try and stealthily move through the room to an angle where I'm out of sight, and I will adjust my the recorder in my helmet and voxcast it back to the rest of the group
Beautiful.
so that they can see what I'm seeing.
As soon as you flick on the right channel, you hear the loud static. Then you immediately hear the Inquisitor through his heavy power armor.
What game are you planning, Carius? The sector is at stake. We cannot afford to lose this artifact. What is this?
You can see him point to something on the ground, but it is quite dark. There are a few pigments sort of flickering occasionally. It seems like some kind of electrostatic effect. Whenever they go off, they create a lot of static on your device.
Daniel, do you want to head down the center? Rick, do you want to head left? I'll go right. Let's encircle the bastard.
Right. We shouldn't make an offensive move until the Inquisitor deems it so. It seems our master has decided to keep things civil for now. But I expect violence just in case.
No, we are keeping it civil. We're not shooting yet.
I like the way you're thinking, Franz.
Assuming that I'm still hidden, I will take aim on Icarius. Just prepared to see what he says or does towards Typhus.
Caster Typh, do a stealth
Caster
test.
Typh,
Minus 20.
Yeah, flat.
While he's doing that, would anyone else like to do anything? You succeed.
I would like to... Actually, I will go to the marksman and say, Marksman, scan the room. It's unlikely that Icarus has came alone. Where are his acolytes?
I do not reply and stay hidden.
In which case, I would like to see if I can spot any other acolytes that are playing the equivalent of our war games of, protecting our Inquisitor while pretending to be unseen.
You can all hear Carius starting to speak up. Your acolytes have abandoned you in your hour of need, Inquisitor. Lower your weapon. I'm in charge here. He walks up to this luminous beam in the middle of the room, emitting a purple pinkish color.
As he says, your acolytes is abandoned you, Rick kind of pops up from the corner and walks up slow. I would never abandon the Inquisitor. No one would. I wouldn't be a good acolyte then, now would I?
Moving
How?
from the
I imagine you come like strolling into the room as you say
Yep,
that.
this is just a slow, casual walk with the hammer dangling on the, shoulder, holding there.
You get an
Now,
inspiration point.
let's go back to talking instead of you trying to take command from your good old, would I say Pop Inquisitor? Your good old mentor. Past mentor.
Awesome. You walk into the room behind the Inquisitor, meet up with him. Dago's training kicks in and he jumps in after you. As you walk in, you can see the Inquisitor, or Hereticus, Carius Road, standing on top of the Eldar Autarch. I don't know if you were there to interact with him. I think you were. So you remember the meeting that you all had with him. And this is the leader of the Eldari forces on this planet. As you enter the room, Inquisitor Carius lets off a sarcastic smirk on one side of his face as he raises an eyebrow, gesturing almost a welcome to you. He seems very content.
coming from behind the niche, ridge, going to the Inquisitor's left, Daniel will say, Inquisitor Carius Road, I presume. It's fine to finally put a name to codename Icarus.
He just
Surely.
squints as you enter the room. Who does not enter the room? Okay,
Well, I
so
assume that I'm hidden back here.
you don't have to place your token. I'll take care of that.
Okay, sorry. My bad.
Cool.
I'm skulking in the shadows.
As you slowly enter the room,
As
you see these tiny luminous pigments sparkling in the air. The Eldar artifact stands before you. The cave floor shimmers with this reflective, blood-red light. You look down, you will see in the darkness beneath you dozens and dozens of human bodies. Their chests have been burst open. Some of them have scorch marks around their eyes. They seem to have been burned from the inside out. There is a pool of blood on the ground. The bodies, Daniel, will be recognizable to you. You even recognize some of their faces. These are the very Eldar, or rather tribals, that helped you. The descendants of Alexio. All of his descendants are dead on the ground, including his direct descendant who helped you. As you walk over their bodies, all of you can take a fair one test, unless you have jaded.
I don't gotta do that one.
That's a
Kind of looks down at the corpse and kind of, well, I didn't expect that to happen to him. Bugs will get him. I guess
Willpower
this got him instead.
plus 0. Willpower plus 0. You
Well, they're
also
making the rules,
stumble
right?
between them, your boots getting covered in blood. As you see these bodies, some of them are strewn around the crystal itself, almost like they were burnt by the crystal. They seem to have fallen backwards, their eyes and faces charred and blackened, burnt, their hands, some of them are missing hands.
Fritz is going to tap on his microbead on a point-to-point with the Inquisitor 5 times, which will allow him to know that he is behind him to the right-hand side diagonally.
Moving in between, stepping in between bodies with surprising grace. Daniel strides forward, saying, Carius, this is barbaric. You've sought to use the ritual described by Alexios. Only Psychers can be sacrificed to the artifact. Yet I know very well some of these people were not. You've induced the psychic potential due to a lack of necessary Psychers, didn't you?
Be patient, Acolyte. Everything will be cleared up in time. I'm glad you could join us. As you can see, we have achieved total victory. The Eldar have been... He walks over to the Autarch, pokes him with his gun. You can see the Eldar sort of, his head jolt back and forth, and he recoils. Carius looks up at you heroically, sort of adjusts his hair. Carius, a chisel-faced, quite tall man, and usually athletic. He wears a skin suit made of dark blue, chainmail-like material. Series of separate bands circling his sleeves, and he has a unique glyph on his chest. Symbol of the Aquila on his belt. Black cape and no visible weapons. He looks very intimidating, and those of you who are trained in the immediately recognize many heretical gadgets on his uniform. He turns around and looks at you all as you enter the room. As you look at the artifact itself, any of you can do a lore cryptology test, -10.
Or scrutiny on his face to see if he actually believes what he's doing is right or not.
The just say what your character does, and I will tell you if you need a roll. The Inquisitor will...
Rick looks deeply at Icarus's face as he's got... So you sacrificed all these people even though they don't need to be sacrificed because they don't have the potential for it. Why, though? That's just kind of useless slaughter at this point. And we could have used their actual manpower to try and fight a bit longer.
He smiles and looks at you. You all instantly have an effect that you need to roll for. So first resolve the lore test.
Flat success.
In front of the lore artifact itself, you immediately recognize in this luminescent text written in Eldari, 57 psychic souls must be sacrificed here to bind us through time and space. And each time a sacrifice is made, she requires 8 years to breathe again. Those of you with psychic powers can immediately do a willpower test, -50.
Is it to resist willpower? Resist psychic power? Sorry.
Yeah.
-50?
-50.
Scoped in on Icarus as Thane tries to discern what he is doing.
Icarus is still pointing his rifle at the Eldar Autarch, who's laying unarmed. The Inquisitor slowly walks up to the stone. There's no sense of hostility at all. Everyone is just in awe. The effect in the room is overwhelming. This beaming light just is completely overwhelming to your senses, and none of you can really focus on anything else than just trying to make out what this thing is. but you all sense an immense power. Well done.
I also had to use a faith
Who
point
rolled
in
that? Was it you, Daniel?
Yeah, I had to use a faith point, I'll have to admit.
Sick. You will look at the crystal, and you will feel kinship to it. This is a presence. This is a consciousness that exists close to you. You will immediately close your eyes. They will be forced closed. You will see portals to other times where people were gathered around this artifact. They just flash in front of your eyes again and again. Goes white, you see another vision. Goes white, suddenly you see like a bright sky, clouds flying quickly above. See lightning, and then 1,000 years pass. You see like grass and trees growing, rotting, towers erected to the skies, and then another cloud and more lightning, and then the buildings are destroyed and so on. In one vision, you see the craftwork Eldar gathered around the artifact. They're wearing their beautiful garments, ritual clothing. They're praying. They seem naive and innocent, offering up dozens of crystals around the artifact, and they are surrounded by massive crystallic fortresses. The vision flashes, and you see another flickering vision. A mass of majestic knight pilots are gathered around the artifact. They're joined by a group of priests. They seem to carry archaeotech equipment, and they're surrounded by what looks like a majestic fortress city. It flashes again, and in yet another vision, you see an ascended human standing on top of a pyramid of corpses. You see the skulls and the horror of the dead as you get sucked down into them. You lose your footing, and he starts to grow taller and taller as you fall into the body of corpses. As you walk and dig your way out, you uncover an invaluable secret. You see a way to alter the possible futures. And you will actually completely understand this vision, having succeeded your power. You seem to be witnessing possible futures due to the outcome of what is going to happen in this room. All of the scenarios that you saw are possible outcomes in the future. Caster Typh will walk up to the artifact. You can see his power armor illuminated by the crystal's deep red light. He doesn't touch it, he just puts his hand up to it, and his hand almost turns transparent. Then he clutches his chest, almost in pain, turns around. He will whisper into his microbead.
This must be why he really was able to uncover so much of our ancient knowledge for his Apocrypha. But how did he operate it? Daniel.
He turns around and he will just stagger backwards, seems weakened. He walks up to the pillar and holds a hand on it. He starts catching his breath and heaving. Guess we'll walk forward. Powerful. What do you feel, Daniel?
The artifact. We are on the precipice. It can guide the future of the entire sector in one direction. and it will surely reach the destination envisioned by the user. However, such power... I see how we can do it, but it's more of a feeling, not something one can put in words. I've seen the Eldari being joyful, their armadas surrounded, a future in which they prosper. I've seen the ancient knights of Askellon surrounding it, raising their banner of their many houses, declaring victories after victories. I've seen a man surrounded by death, on which he rested himself upon a throne of both friend and foe's corpses. This is but a mere vision of very few possible futures that would surely come to fruition, should it be used.
Seems like it was too much for your old man. How are you doing, Castor? The smirk will walk triumphantly around the autarch. Oh, I found something that might be of interest to you. Something you've been looking for. Deruli's complete works. Carius smiles.
He
doesn't look at you particularly, Daniel, just the whole group as you enter the room.
I look at Rick to and nod to him to pitch the complete work of the Rulies.
Now that I've disbanded my warband, I'm looking for new servants. I'm disentangling my previous engagements and, well, I couldn't be more pleased to see you here, servants of the Emperor. Are you ready to serve under the Emperor's holy words and pledge allegiance to me?
As much as you would love that, unless Marinkus agrees to that, I'm not switching sides like that. That seems like betrayal. And what do you mean you disbanded your warband? Why
Icarus
now?
just smiles. Yeah. I had an idea as I was talking to the Eldar. I thought their encounters with you, they kept bringing it up. They mistook me for you. That says something about your abilities. I could use something like you. What say you? Let's join forces.
It all depends on what you're planning to do with the artifact, Inquisitor. As Daniel holds his left hand to his temple, trying to focus on Carius's form.
Saying this,
Who do you
Rick
think brought you
slowly
here?
walks over to pick up the complete copies and then slowly backs off.
As you walk, do a Sinitians test. Anyone with psychic abilities can do the same.
Success with 2 additional on my end.
Sick. Anyone who succeeds will feel an entity reaching into your mind. It wants to show you something. It's not Icarus. Do you let it?
Daniel's gained much knowledge at this moment, and knowing that the Warpsmith forces have been disbanded, he decided to risk it and opens the proverbial door, just a crack.
As you close your eyes, you're almost like descending down through the ground. You feel this weight just pulling you down. Some entity wants you to see Diruli himself. He's sitting on a desk and he's writing the additional pages of the third key of his Apocrypha. As soon as you see it, you try to remember back to when you read the third key that you found. You can see the exact moment where the page that was ripped off continues beyond what you had. As you see the text, you can hear the scribbling of his ink pen, and the letters read, "Even still, I do believe what is said about the Novator strain of the ancient House Maimon. They have found evidence of an ancient and powerful rallying point, and some have begun to worship it. Now it is up to us to find it before they ruin this opportunity to solve the mystery of Askellon. I intend to reach it first, even if I must pay in blood. If our calculations are correct, the world will appear for just long enough for us to initiate the ritual. The Serix Magnus explorator fleets make excellent accommodations for the wretched rejects of the Imperial Black Ships. Primaria Psyker Hedrin Malfum claims that the ancient world requires only 100 sacrifices, and if I trust her, everything hinges on this one funeral pyre. Unfortunately, there is little evidence that the pre-Imperial Knights venerate their witches as we do, perhaps to their benefit. You see visions of Diruli traveling on an explorator fleet towards this world. Then you see many visions of them sitting around this very crystal.
Daniel goes to the side of Diruli, not knowing whether he can hear him or not, but more talking to him, to himself, saying, "Bastard, you actually made it. And here I thought you burned at the pyre without fulfilling your dream."
Carius will look around the corner of the rock. Something bothering you, Daniel?
You were aware that you really made it up until this point, didn't you?
Yes. Is it talking to you now? What is it saying?
This isn't the first time somebody's done such a ritual. Whatever Diruli had accomplished here, in the end, it may have ended with his death. Of that we know.
Indeed it did. Diruli is long dead, but his deeds live on to this day. And here we are, unceremoniously gathered for one final ritual. Maybe he showed you the Apocrypha. He raises an eyebrow, as if he already knows your thoughts.
You're right. The third entry. He was pretty much right about everything here. It's as if he's most likely been guided up to this point.
You know, some of the pages of Diruli's Apocrypha, well, he will pull out a huge tome from his pocket, and he will begin ripping out pages from it, and then he drops it on the ground. It gets covered in mud and blood. Without flinching, he looks up. He thought thought they were too precious to transcribe by the lexicographers on Terra. Fortunately, I was able to attain them from the rogue trader Sanchani. As he pulls the pages one by one, he just drops them to the ground and they begin floating slowly, finally covered in blood. Are you willing to listen? Now?
It's close to the end. Everything we have is left time. Can't really make an ill-informed decision now, can we?
Oh, how profoundly you failed your investigation. I gave the High King a unique psychic artifact, coveted by the Tyranid. I knew that his greed would ultimately lead to his demise. With Alexio's belongings stolen by my servants, it was a simple matter to persuade his descendants that I was their long-lost grandfather, Alexio, in the flesh. He bows. He begins slowly with you. As I said, Daniel, the rogue traders had the ultimate secret of the Apocrypha all along, and you failed to find it. You really knew how to operate the device. All I needed was a sacrifice. One that Alexio's descendants were all too willing to grant. Now,
You'll hear fans come over the intercom and say, John, shieldbreaker rounds on my mark.
the familiarity of this place.
Understood.
Sense it. They all lay down their lives willingly. I wanted you to see this as soon as I heard that you were on the way. The portal to infinite power. He points to the device. You can see this bright aura illuminating him. Oh, I've already done it. It's already done, Daniel. Now, will you join us in freeing humanity from the imprisonment of the Emperor and the false limitations of the Mars cult? Or will you remain a sheep?
Hearing those words, Thane doesn't wait a heartbeat on hearing that he
As
has to betray
soon
the
as he
Emperor.
says that, several acolytes will appear from the shadows. As they come walking out, you hear their footsteps. Icarus reaches a hand in your direction. This is an invitation, not a threat. We don't need any bloodshed here. It will not end well for you.
Between split lips and some broken teeth, Daniel says, I said you disbanded your warband.
By now, perhaps you're starting to realize that it is necessary to break the rules to accomplish what we need to accomplish. That's why I'm here and you're standing there.
The Eldari tried to use...
The Emperor.
The Eldari tried to use this artifact to create a maiden world for them to thrive and prosper.
Too late, they're all dead. Because they didn't foresee us. We can beat them, Daniel. We can beat their seers. We can see the future like them.
And the other Imperials also tried to use the artifact and brought the pandemonium upon us instead.
They didn't know what they were dealing with. They thought this was the Emperor.
You're any better?
I know what it is. I'm not deceived like them. Yes, I am better.
You know how to use it correctly.
This is technology,
No.
nothing else. We use it, or
If it
someone
was
else does.
technology, sacrifice people. It's warp magic. Warp
All
magic
achievements
never ends
involve
good.
sacrifices. You should know this more than anyone, Rick.
Sacrifices usually involve summoning a demon, which I do not like, especially since this is a world with a prisoned warp being inside of it. And the things you're saying right now are very heretical, even for an inquisitor of your standing, which is ironic, especially for your though.
Callus will, itching and scratching his chest, a tortured soul will stumble towards the rock. You're the ones who were played by the demons. Our Inquisitor vanquishes them.
Things of a crazy old looking man. Clearly
There is no
in the
chance
right
for you.
state of mind.
You either die here or you join us. What will it be, Icarus? Castor. Castor is standing with his face towards you, and is just waiting for you all to respond. Walks up behind you and puts a hand on your shoulder, Daniel.
Everyone that has ever used this artifact had to pay a price that they were not aware of. Every attempt to save others led to the ruination of those around them. Those who sought to prosper led themselves in the hands of destruction. The artifact must go. Icarus, it will bring the death of all.
It can't be destroyed, Daniel. Don't you understand? As he looks at you, Daniel, any of you can do an Archaeotech test. -20. You've all had some time now to study the device. Forbidden Lore Archaeotech. -20.
Is this with two additional on my end? Anyone else?
You will hear the voice of Marie loudly appear. Listen to what the Inquisitor is saying. He killed the Xenos that you were sent here to destroy. We're not your enemies. Carius.
Oh, Marie, you could have fooled me. You know, the whole join us or die thing kind of... Yeah, it kind of sort of goes against with what you're actually sort of saying.
Yeah, the Inquisitor will look to you, Franz, behind Daniel. Franz, come forward.
No.
Do you think you succeeded this mission, Franz? Do you think your Inquisitor has been successful?
No, but I know that you and your lot killed my friend.
What is your friend against the future of the Imperium?
future of the Imperium is to stay loyal to the Emperor.
The Emperor is a lie,
You
Franz.
seem to have forgotten that.
You seek to
The
replace
truth
the-
is that we are subjugated under the power of a madman, driven insane. He's long dead, Franz. It is up to us to secure the future of humanity. Do you understand that? There are no gods. This is technology. We use it to win, or we die as a species.
Regardless of everyone in this acolyte group were to turn to you and follow your leadership, I would still stand against you.
It is staggering to me that you are as blind as this. Can't you see?
I'm happy to disappoint.
Can't you see that you've all been deceived? You've been weakened by this false loyalty to something that doesn't exist. The psychic horror that keeps humanity bound and away from our technological bliss. We can free ourselves. All we need to do is embrace the technology that is in front of us, like our forefathers did before the Age of Strife. You know your history. You've read about the ancients. If they were here now, they would be on my side.
They would be
Really?
wrong.
They wouldn't have done human sacrifice. They were far above that, from what I've
Then
read.
what are we doing
And
with the
they
Emperor?
would not have used Faust Zeno's tech.
What
they
are
would
the
have
sacrifices of the
engineered
black
it
ships,
and
if not
made it
human
better
sacrifice?
for themselves, and not use it in the current state it's in right now.
You know that the future of the galaxy depends on our sacrifices. You commit them every day.
I get on my computer.
Wake up.
What are we doing arguing with the heretic? Let us kill him now.
Much as that
You're going
would
to
be
regret this.
Back to the Light Inquisitor. You know that technology isn't going to save us. You know that if we were to just look at technology, what happens to the Astronomicon? What happens to Unity? We will fall into another long night. And you know
The
this.
Inquisitor Caster Typh, catching his breath, will turn around.
It wants us to use it. I can feel it. This is all a scheme. The chamber is psychically sealed. It gains power by offering us gifts of insight. It wants us to use it.
Nothing more
He
than a
looks at
mere
you,
trap.
Daniel.
It promises fortune, it promises futures that are plentiful, but is a trap. A human will never rely upon such machinations to manifest their destiny, their entire species, to propel it forward towards prosperity. The best of us, the God Emperor of mankind, has fought through the long night. He saw the age of strife, yet he survived and ushered in the prosperous era, the Imperium of Man, which now we fight to maintain.
Kane will walk up behind you. Daniel is right. This is an Eldar device. By the decree of the Orosenos, I now claim this world and this Eldar device. Please.
Yaris, I beg of you. Look at yourself. You despise the works of the Emperor so much. Yet, in your choices, can't you see that you are trading one master for another? The artifact does not want to bring your vision of the future. It merely lies to you.
As you stand there and theorize about...
Acolytes.
Let me finish first. As you stand there and
Sorry,
theorize
go
about the thing, those of you who succeeded will know that this... you have a couple of theories that are popping up in your head as you're standing here talking. The entire planet could be a psionic device, and this could just be the control stick, so to speak. Any of you can do a common lore telepathic test. -20. Icarus and Caster Typh will begin discussing the reality of the Emperor and technology.
John's going to come up to his full height and say, Acolytes of the codename Icarus, I understand that you want and that you are loyal to your master. But I implore you. Now, you may look at my uniform and may find that is rather strange. But I am not one for killing people who are loyal to their masters. However, you have heard what he has said. Step back. Step back and you may still be forgiven.
Nyx will take a couple of steps forward. You first. Your telepathic choirs to anyone who succeeds this test. You begin to picture the entire world emitting this psionic storm. The world itself could be a psi emitter, creating the warp storms in the sector. Something has gone wrong, and it has spawned this massive pandemonium that is slowly destroying humanity. Your telepathic choirs, however, you would know this with your insight into the telepathica, protect the sector and somewhat limit this device from affecting what is inside each of the warp spheres emitted by the planet. By this planet. So, the smallest sphere, the most powerful one, is in the room that you're in right now. And that seems to be almost like a separate reality, dipping its feet into the warp. All of you are bathing in it by just standing in this room. The Inquisitor seems to be experiencing some side effects, probably due to his deep corruption, and he's struggling. The secondary is the planet atmosphere itself. So you see this, or you rather picture this surface of the planet as the end of the effect of this emitter, and then this room is sealed separately. Since you succeeded, you can also do a Forbidden Lore warp test to see how much you know about the warp. -20. Anyone can do this test.
I'm gonna use another fate point.
Forbidden Lore warp,
You can take my
-20.
inspiration if you want. Yeah, okay.
Best use of a fate point I've ever had.
Sick. Daniel, you're standing there, reasoning your way towards what this could be. And with your insight into the warp and knowing about the spheres, destroying this device, if it is possible at all, would make no difference. Destroying the warp emitter the size of a planet would send the warp storm through the entire sector, wreaking havoc for untold millennia. As you stand there and listen to Icarus and Castor discuss, there's kind of airy atmosphere. Seem to be reaching a resolution. What do you do?
I try to get all of the knowledge together and compare it to the Ruli's writings. It's obvious that whatever the Ruli did a long time ago, he already must have realized this. Did he use the device? Did he... was he tempted? Did he avoid using it? He murmurs to himself, and it's audible to the entirety of the party. We cannot destroy it. It's more than likely it will... He's the only thing controlling the warp storms around the sector. Losing their guide, they will just aimlessly rampage through the entirety of the sector, with or without Askellon present.
Fritz is going to do a point-to-point to the Eldar. That is, having actually seen what frequency he's on, and is going to attempt to communicate with him.
Awesome. Do a... well, how do you want to do it?
Linguistics. He's gonna, basically go very quietly, sort of turn his head off to the side and go and basically start speaking in the Eldari language, asking, can you tell us anything about this? Anything would be useful. If not, can you fight?
As soon as you say that in Eldari, turn around and put his foot on the throat of the Eldar. Don't speak! Filth! Be silent. We're in charge here. He turns around and looks to you, Franz. This is the future. He looks down to the autarch. Someone like you should look up to me in awe. We are the masters of the galaxy, not you. He sort of points his weapon at his head. The Eldar just reaches this deep sigh. Starts stretching his hands backwards, laying in a pool of bodies.
And there'll be one more point-to-point, and it will be ready.
Acolytes, have you gone insane? It's us versus them. Are you on the side of the Eldar?
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's an old Terran proverb.
And they are your enemy.
Really? They're not the one pointing guns at us?
No one is pointing guns at you, Franz. As you look around, the acolytes are just standing relaxed. None of them have the weapons drawn at all.
I see that metaphor goes over your head.
Lower your
like
damn
weapons.
weapons. We're here to save humanity. Castor, join me. We can complete the ritual. With your acolyte's knowledge, we can figure this out. We can find out what we need to do.
Ruli said that it is the sin of both the Eldari and and the Inquisition that this pandemonium has come upon us. Perhaps we all just hold different keys to a lock so complex we ourselves alone cannot open the door to a prosperous future. Both humanity and the Eldari has used this artifact for selfish gains that in the end just bit us in our backside.
If we don't stop the pandemonium, it will destroy all of humanity. Don't you understand? We're at the precipice. This is the moment we decide the future of humanity. Focus! Study it! The sacrifice has been made. It opened up. It is laid bare in front of us. Please. Caster seems like he's contemplating it, looking the device up and down. We don't need to agree on the Emperor. We don't need to agree on anything. Let's try to figure out what this is. I am inviting you to the future of humanity. If you don't join me, I'll go alone, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Daniel bits his lip in protest, although he says, "You are most likely right. Destroying the artifact will only lead to the ruination of the setting. However, we plan to use it. Must make sure that the pandemonium ceases."
Stop. Everyone. Does anyone know what happens if we interact with it? What did it tell you, Daniel? Caster will just turn his back to the artifact and look at you. Don't.
Daniel is fighting within himself, saying, "The artifact shows what we want to see. I know how to interact with it, but I cannot declare for a certainty that it will happen as it has shown me the future will commence forth. Only the Emperor knows for certainty what will happen in the future. We cannot trust this. We cannot let it guide our hand. Further studies require this entire room. The atmosphere in itself, when we landed here, you are aware of it. I'm not even sure if we're in real space anymore, or if the room itself is just a manifestation of our mind, of our projection in the warp. If it's what we expect it to be, what we expect it to see. Not even sure it's a crystal."
Do the rest of you just stand around and look? What are the rest of you doing?
Thane is waiting for the order to kill.
Rick right now is just waiting, looking around, and reading the books that he just got because they're nice.
Edgar is using it the way it wishes to be used. I'm not certain that it will lead you to the future you envision. We cannot let it be our master.
shows you that the only things that you want to see is something you can never trust.
Castor and Icarus are talking to each other. They seem occupied.
I turn to the Archconfessor and say, what do you think of all this? I'm not sure what's right anymore, or what to do proceeding forward.
What do you do, guys?
To be honest, I don't know what the items are is here. I just know that
Are we going to stand around and talk?